Good morning, hello and welcome to Money Control's live stream. You're watching Opening Bell with me, Lovisha Darad. Well, we are back with a new day and a fresh start. After a stupendous rally that we saw yesterday, it remains to be seen whether the markets are able to sustain these gains in today's trading session. Of course, today is the Nifty's weekly expiry. So 24,500, that will act as a key hurdle to see whether or not we can see a further upside. But yes, to start off the GIFT Nifty, that is hinting at a weaker start for the Indian markets after Asia Pacific markets also kicked off the day on a lower note. If you see, look at the pre-open rates. The pre-open rates also point out to a lower start for Sensex and Nifty both. Meanwhile, Wall Street, that stood as a differentiated overnight as all major averages hit new all-time highs after Trump's sweeping victory in the US presidential elections. But plenty lined up in the show. Don't forget to post your stock-related queries on our live feed and we will try to address them before 9:30 a.m. with our technical expert of the show. Moving on, let's take a quick look at the top headlines this hour. Donald Trump creates history. He will become the first US president in 132 years to return to the White House after losing power. Trump declares this truly will be the golden age for America. Kamala Harris concedes defeat but says that she does not concede the fight that fueled her presidency campaign. Wall Street sees a tear-away rally as Donald Trump wins the US presidential elections. The Dow Jones rises over 1,500 points in its best day since 2022 to close at a record high. NASDAQ Composite and the S&P 500 also rise over 2% each to hit record highs. Meanwhile, the market is eyeing US Federal Reserve's policy decision, which is due tonight. Asia Pacific markets opened largely lower despite a record rally on Wall Street. Meanwhile, the GIFT Nifty is suggesting a lower start for the Indian markets. Tata Steel reports an operational beat while Apollo Hospital's second quarter numbers come in above estimates. Key earnings to track today include M&M, Trent, Lupin and Cochin Shipyard. Alright, now yesterday's trading session that turned out to be quite interesting because we saw Trump's sweeping victory which helped the Sensex and Nifty clock its biggest single day gain in over 6 weeks. We saw broad-based buying emerging in yesterday's market and with the Nifty IT index that stood out as a clear winner. Volatility index that cooled off by 7%. But today, all eyes will be set on the US Federal Reserve's FOMC meeting which is underway. Jerome Powell will be addressing tonight with its decision on the interest rate cuts. The consensus still prevails for a 25 basis point rate cut, but whether or not this dovish stance is maintained after Trump's White House victory, that would be a key monitorable because so far he has been sharing a hawkish rhetoric. We have the ongoing earnings season. Today we have M&M, Trent, which is set to report its second quarter numbers, while M&M, Power Grid and Apollo Hospitals will react to its Q2 report card. Apart from secondary markets, if we look at primary markets, that is lined up with popular names. We have the Swiggy IPO that started off on a muted note yesterday. It saw about 12% subscription. Today, shares were trading with 5% premium in the grey markets, so not much of a listing gain that we are expecting for Swiggy IPO. On the other hand, Acme Solar IPO, that fared better in yesterday's opening. It opened with, ended with a 39% subscription on the first day. Today, if you look at in the unlisted markets, the shares were trading also with a very muted 3% premium in the grey markets. Today, we also have a new IPO opening, Niva Bupa Health. It is a mix of 800 crore rupees fresh issue and 1400 crore rupees offer for sale. The price band for the IPO is fixed in the range of 70 to 74 rupees per share. But today, the shares were trading similar to the issue price in the unlisted market. So basically, we cannot see any premium there as well. Moving on, let's take a look at some of the key figures that would set the tone of today's trading session. First up is the option queues data. The Nifty put call ratio rose to 0.97 levels from 0.94 levels in the previous session. So once again, bullish positions that have been maintained, but we will be watching out for today's trading session because the pre-open rates have been pointing out to a lower start for the Indian markets. Second, F&O ban list. No major changes done in the F&O ban list. And finally, the fund flows data. Once again, the FIs continue to be the net sellers in the previous trading session. They sold about 4,446 crore rupees in the cash markets. DIIs, however, they outweighed the FII selling and bought stocks worth 4,889 crore rupees in the cash markets. Now, just a couple of minutes before we hit the opening bell, but of course, the pre-open rates, that is pointing out to a lower start. Right now, if we look at the Sensex and Nifty, they're showing a moderate uptick. Sensex is up about 168 points in the pre-open. But let's quickly get on board with our technical expert of the show, Chandan Taparia of Motilal Oswal. Chandan, good morning. So good to have you on the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Chandan, let me start off by yesterday's smart recovery. Today we are seeing a lower start. Of course, pre-open rates have once again seen a recovery. But do we expect that this surge could be short-lived?
So we have seen a decent recovery in last two trading sessions. Nifty made bottom near 23,850 zone and recovered to 24,500 zone. So a decent recovery of almost 700 points was seen in last two trading sessions. The good part is that index has created a bullish divergence where price has drifted lower, but mechanical indicator like RSI has managed to hold the lower zone. So usually market tops and bottom with the divergence of the mechanical indicator. And this time it happened. So we believe some sort of recovery could be there. However, Dow closed positive with gains of more than 1500 points, but GIFT Nifty is not reflecting that. But we believe that price pattern of last 2 days somehow indicating about the bottom process of the market. We believe that Nifty needs to hold above 24,200 zone to extend this rally towards 24,650 to 24,850 zone. So I'll go with buy on decline stance with support of 24,200 with the view that further 300 to 400 bounce could be there in this market scenario.
Okay, 24,200, that is the support level. But Chandan, Bank Nifty, that has been doing well in the past sessions. So what are the new levels that we can eye for the Bank Nifty index?
So on last trading session, Bank Nifty remained consolidative in a broader range, but technically it has given a closing breakout of last 24 days. Multiple times this index has witnessed sustained supply near to 52, 350, 52, 400 zone, but yesterday it closed above the same. So that indicates some sort of bullishness. So I'll go with buy on decline with support of 51,750. And this recent breakout or short covering can lift the Bank Nifty towards 53,000 zone.
Okay, all right. Moving on, Chandan, Nifty IT index, that did well in the yesterday's trading session. Now we are seeing a Trump's comeback to the White House. So do we expect more optimism to kick in?
Yeah, I believe the market prices also discount the same and some sort of bullish stance is clearly visible in the Nifty IT. And the good part is recently when index corrected by around 2,000, 2,200 points, IT is not corrected much. However, some profit booking was seen, but recovery is also sharp. And recovery in the Dow and NASDAQ also indicate bullish stance in the global IT companies. So I believe Nifty IT could see positive stance. Overall, it has now supported 51,400 zone to uplift the price sentiment towards 40 to 750 to 43,000. And most of the IT counter has seen a strong momentum. We like Coforge. It has taken support at 74.70. As per the recent price setup, it can head towards 8100 zone. Apart from Coforge, one can also look at the counter like persistent system, which has been holding well above its 50-day exponential moving average. So persistent system can head towards 6,000, 6,100 zone. So positive on the IT, and in IT name, we like Coforge and persistent most.
Okay. What about the large cap names, Chandan, be it TCS, Infosys, Wipro? What can we expect on those counters?
So you're talking about Mastech, or this stock has seen a decent run up in last almost 6 to 7 trading session from 2742 all the way to 2950, 70 marks. So setup is positive. Even on the weekly chart, the stock has been forming the higher base in a broader range. And this time this breakout could be seen. So with support of 2880, this time Mastech can rally towards 3050 to 3100 zone.
Okay. Chandan, Nifty Realty Index, that has been doing well. So how do the stocks look like on that front? Yesterday also we saw Nifty Realty Index also, gaining up in along with Nifty IT Index. So how does Realty Index look like on the charts?
Yeah, so Nifty Realty has bottomed out. 8 to 9 days back, it made bottom near 957. Even 2 days back, it retested those kind of bottoms at 966. So double bottom is clearly visible after the weakness of last 6-7 weeks. So because of that, recovery could be there. Expecting Nifty Realty to spike by 3 to 5%. Looking at the name, I'll go with DLF. The stock has been moving in a broader range. Recently, it has taken support at the lower band of the zone. So with support of 810, we can see an up move towards 868, 80 kind of level. Apart from DLF, one can also look at the name like Godrej Property, but better to be with DLF and all other counters need to get some follow-up activities. Loda in non-FNO can see positive stance with support of 1190. Loda can head towards 1280 kind of levels.
Okay, so DLF, Godrej Properties and Lodha to watch out for from the Nifty Realty Index. But in the pre-open rates, we are seeing that Tata Steel, Asian Paints, Sun Pharma, HCL Tech, all of them doing well. But Tata Steel, first up, the company came out with its September quarter figures. We saw the company swing back to profit of 759 crore rupees versus a loss of 6,511 crore rupees last year. Revenue, however, that declined by 3% Y on Y. Chandan, Tata Steel as a stock hasn't really performed well in the past 3 months, but we are expecting Chinese stimulus measures later this week. So where can we expect the stock to go from here on?
Yeah, so like we have seen major buying interest in JSW Steel and other counter like NELCO, National Aluminium. So if you ask me in the metal in the mining space or steel space, I'll focus on the National Aluminium, which can see a better price momentum towards 265, 280. But yes, on reply on Tata Steel, the stock has completed its profit booking decline of last 5 weeks from 170 to 145 levels. Bottoms are being formed with higher base at 150 zone. So with support of 150, we can see a surge in price towards 160 marks from current level in Tata Steel.
All right. Chandan, just before we address the opening bell, which is your just, less than 15 seconds away, what do you expect, what investors should, do at this point of time in terms of their trading strategy? Just a quick one-liner could help.
So I think one can go with buy on decline space and stance in the market.
Okay, all right. So first rates popping on your screen, we can see Nifty 50 open flat in the green above that 24,450 odd levels in the open session. Apart from that, we can see Sensex, however, that is down about 43 points. So yes, flat in the red, 80,334 levels at the open rates right now. We can see that the 248 shares have advanced while 81 shares have declined, 19 shares still remain unchanged. So the flat in trade, both the benchmarks are, have opened on a flat note in today's trading session. India VIX that has spiked up to 3% after yesterday's 7% cool off, trading about that 15 odd levels. Other than that, Nifty IT index that is up about 0.2% in today's trading session, so extending yesterday's gain as well. Apart from that, Nifty Auto, Nifty Pharma and Nifty Realty Index, all of these counters doing well in today's trading session as well. What is not doing well, however, is the Nifty Bank Index. Bank Nifty Index down about 0.1%. Other than that, Nifty Metal Index again seeing some profit booking, seeing about like 0.7% decline in today's trading session. Nifty PSU Bank also down about 0.2%. If you look at some of the broader markets, however, is outperforming the benchmarks. The mid cap is up about 0.2%, while the small cap index is up about 0.1% in today's trade. Let's look at some of the top Nifty gainers. That includes Apollo Hospital after it came out with its blockbuster set of September quarter results yesterday. Up about 5% in today's trading session. Apart from that, we have Tata Steel also doing well among the top Nifty 50 gainers after its swing back to profit in the September quarter, up about 1% in today's trading session. HCL Tech, Mahindra, TCS, other IT names, which is also once again dominating the Nifty 50 top leaders list. If we look at some of the top 50 laggards list, we can see Hindalco, Adani Enterprises, BPCL, Bharat Electronics, Nestle, all of them not doing well. Hindalco especially down about 5% in today's trading session. But another stock in focus is Power Grid. That company came out with its September quarter figures. We saw the revenue and profit both were flat. Even EBITDA dropped by 2% year on year, while margins contracted. Chandan, a power play, it has come off its September highs as well. Power Grid, how does it look on the charts for the near term?
So looking at the Power Grid, the stock has seen a profit booking decline in last 4-5 weeks, but now supports are intact. But the only concern is the follow-up is missing here. So overall looks good in terms of positional, those who are looking for investment, but for trading point of view, I need it to retest the major support of 300. So let it retest the key support, then only pick for buying interest in the counter.
Okay, so 300 levels, that is the first retest for the support levels coming in. Apollo Hospitals, well, quite the stellar performance from the Q2 numbers. Today also the stock has reacted very sharply to its Q2 performance, up about 5% in today's trading session. The company has reported a healthy set of Q2 numbers with net profit jumping about 63% year on year, led by higher demand for healthcare services, while revenue rose by 15% year on year. Chandan, looks like the stock also has been doing well. Some consolidation, of course, but September highs. But do you expect the bull run to continue? Today also it is, sharply up like about 5%.
Yeah, that's nice. So the stock has formed the new lifetime high, given a breakout from a small pollen flake pattern with multiple supported rising trend line. So I believe this current momentum could continue with support of 72.20. Apollo Hospital can head to a 7600 zone.
Okay, all right. We have another stock in focus, M&M, that will roll out its Q2 figures in today. According to Money Control's poll, revenue is expected to rise about 11% year on year, while profit is expected to remain flat. Chandan, Mahindra and Mahindra, that has been gaining momentum in the past week. Even if we look at the October sales figures, they were quite stellar with SUV sales at record highs. So where do you see the stock to go from here on, and what are the new levels that we can eye for M&M?
So talking about Mahindra and Mahindra, the major trend is positive. The stock has been making higher tops, higher bottom on the daily scale. However, today it formed a small consolidative form, but overall bias could remain intact. We will go with buy on decline. As of now, the support is at 2880. Support of 2880, we can target for 3050, 3080.
Okay, 3080. Let's straight dive into the viewer queries that is coming in there, as they're eagerly waiting for us to address their queries as well. Naveen is coming out with its first query. He's asking the view on Bank of India. Bank of India, Chandan, past 6 months the stock hasn't really performed well. So where do we see the stock to go from here on?
So, like if you ask on PSU Bank, SBI is one of the strongest name, but Bank of India also seen a decent recovery in last 8-9 days, all the way from 96 to 113 levels. So my advice is try to exit the stock in only bounce, and better to be sipped in SBI, which is more stable and strong. But as of now, looking at the price structure, stock can head towards 120 to 123 marks.
Okay. Another question that Naveen has been asking on REC. REC today, Chandan, it has been trading ex-dividend. But if you look at 1 month chart, it is up about 6%, and even 6 months very moderate 4.5% returns. What is the new target that we can eye for REC?
So looking at RSC, we have seen a decent run up in last 2 days. However, today it has been witnessing sustained cold writing at higher levels. So I believe need to look at the range bound kind of price setup. So overall, looking at the chart, we believe 510 to 550. This is the broader range for this counter.
510, okay. Another query which is coming in from Manoj, he's asking the view on RVNL. RVNL, yesterday also the share price rose about 4% after it emerged as the lowest bidder for BSNL project. Today also the stock is doing well, up about 2%. If you look at 1 month charts, it has done well, given about 6% returns. And 6 months, of course, RVNL has given quite a stellar bit of returns. Chandan, do we expect a further upside for RVNL stock?
So most of the PSU banks are forming the bottom after the weakness of almost 13 to 15 weeks. Most of these stocks are making lower top, lower bottom. First time some follow-up is happening, so which may negate the weak structure of the most of the PSU name. But yeah, RVNL already doing well from last 18 days, has been making high tops, high bottom. So with support of almost 465, one can look for a target towards 490, 500 zone.
All right. Another viewer is asking the view on Chambal Fertilizers. He's holding the stock since a couple of months as per his recommendation. However, it's now down 10 to 15% south. He's asking whether or not he should hold or average, looking at 6 to 9 months target. Chandan, Chambal Fertilizers, if you look at 6 month charts, it has given strong returns, about 30%. But should he hold at this point of time? Can we expect further up move?
Yeah, one can hold because major trend is positive to range bound and every small declines are being bought. So one can continue to keep the position. 495 is the immediate support. With support of 495, one can look for a target towards 530, 535 levels on the higher side. So looks promising. Positive momentum may be there soon in the counter.
All right. That is the view coming in for Chambal Fertilizers. Let's move on to another stock in focus that will roll out its Q2 figures today, and that is your Trend. Trend, as per the Money Control poll, it is suggested that revenue is expected to grow healthily by 51% year on year, while profit is expected to see a jump of 53% year on year. Past 1 month, however, the stock has been in consolidation range. Chandan, what do you expect the stock? How is it expected to perform in the near term? Trend.
So talking about trend, the major trend was so positive in the counter that stock has never breached its 50-day exponential moving average. But in last 3 days, it drifted below 50 DEMA and now finding hurdle at 50 DEMA. So the structure is slightly in pressure. 70 to 30 is the hurdle. With this hurdle, it can go and retest the key support of 6700 marks.
Okay, 70 to 30. That is what we need to watch out for the stock. Another query is coming in on NTPC. Poon Rajesh is asking the views on NTPC for the next 1 year, and he's asking for an entry level on the stock. NTPC, Chandan, we will be seeing NTPC green IPO which will be coming out, but today the stock is not doing well, down about 0.2%. 1 month charts also does not speak well for the stock, but if we look at 6 months, 16% returns. What do you expect for the longer term horizon for NTPC?
So NTPC is a range bound counter where declines are being bought, and however the profit booking is happening because of the weakness in the broader market. I believe the major support for the counter is at 397, 395. With this support, we can aim for 425, 430 zone.
Okay, 430 zone, that is the new target for NTPC. Another stock viewer query coming in is for RPSG Ventures. Shrivardhan Gupta has been asking the views for RPSG Ventures for the long term. He has shares at 780 rupees. Today the stock is down by 5%. However, compared to his holding levels, it is up about, it is trading at that 1100 odd levels. Chandan, what can we expect for the near term for RPSG Ventures?
So talking about RPSG, major trend is positive. On last trading session, it performed well, but today it got stuck in a range. So we have to play the traditional trade setup here. If it goes above 1195 or 1180, then one can see a rally towards 1300 zone.
1300 zone that will be eyeing out for. Another query coming in is from RHI Magnesia. Qazi Mohammed is asking whether or not it is the right time to invest in the stock. If you look at 1 month charts, very flat in the trade, 6 months still down about 3%, but so far this year also it has not performed well. So, is it the right time to invest at this stock? What do you expect for the near term? What does the stock hold, Chandan?
Yeah, so he can put some profit or he can put some money here. However, the stock is down by around 26% in this year. So structure is weak. If I talk about slightly medium term point of view, but yes, if someone is looking for very short term period, then he can use the support of 575 or 630 levels.
Okay, 630 levels for the short term. Another viewer query coming in from Alex is, he's asking the view on JK Paper for fresh long. JK Paper yesterday, it fell about 7% in trade after it reported a very disappointing Q2 performance. But JK Paper, how does it look like? Because 6 months it has performed well. 1 month charts, if we look like Chandan, it hasn't really performed well. So, what do we expect the near term holds for JK Paper?
Yeah, so JK Paper has seen a profit booking decline from 523 to all the way to 434. Now it is bottomed out. One can keep the support of 450. There is sufficient support for the counter for target of 490.
490 is the counter that we need to eye for. Kalyan Jewellers, let's take a look at how that stock is doing in today's trading session. It is up about 7% after MSCI has come out with its report saying that, there is a November rejig and we'll be keeping eye out on that as well. Kalyan Jewellers, how does it look like on the charts? Chandan, because it has been upgraded to the mid-cap end of the MSCI EM index. So what does it look like on the charts? Today also the stock has
So
reacted sharply to it.
yeah, so chart setup is quite interesting. On last trading session, it witnessed a decent reversal from key support zone, and now it is back to 700. Some recovery could be there. So with support of 690, look for 740, 750 zone.
750 zone that we'll be eyeing out for. Okay, so on that one, just one final question before we let you go, Chandan. What are your trading picks at this point of time?
Yeah, so looking at the trading picks, first trade will be buy on BSC, Bombay Stock Exchange. We are quite bullish on the name. It has been making high top, high bottom, and in few hundred points, the stock will head to the new lifetime high and really beyond the same. So BSC could be one name with support of 4,700. Look for target of 5,000. Apart from BSC, we need to look at the selective name from your hospital industries. Whether I can talk about Apollo Hospital, which already really do well. So I need to go with other name, or then we need to keep in mind for Coromandel International. We have seen built up a long position here, and the stock has surpasses falling supply trend line on the weekly chart. So with support of 1695, one can look for 1820.
Okay, so BSC and Apollo Hospital, that is your top strategy at this point of time. But thank you so much, Chandan. Thank you for taking out time. We hope that we connect with you soon as well. All right. Let's take a quick check of the markets. We can see that, the Sensex and the Nifty, both of them have intensified its sell-off. Sensex is down about 300 points, trading below that 81,000 levels. 80,013 levels that is coming in for the Sensex, while Nifty is down about 0.5%, trading below the 24,400 levels as well. If you look at some of the sectors which is not doing well, that is your Nifty Metal Index0.1% down about 1% in today's trading session. Other than that, Nifty Bank Index and Nifty Auto Index, both of them down about 0.6%. If you look at India WIX, that has spiked up in trade, 2% up, trading about that 15 odd levels. Mid cap and small cap index, the broader end of the markets is doing well, up about 0.1% in today's trading session. But of course, Apollo Hospitals and Tata Steel, that remains to be the key performance for today's trading after it came out with a blockbuster set of Q2 numbers. If you look at, the MSCI November rejig, it has added 5 stocks to the global standard index for the EM. The changes will be coming into effect from the November 25 onwards. It has upgraded Shriram Finance, TVS Motors, CG Power, all of them to the large cap end of the MSCI EM. Whereas Kalyan Jewellers, Voltas, BSC, they have been upgraded to the mid cap. So all of them, on the other hand, we can see that the weightage has been hiked for HDFC Bank for the second tranche. So yes, MSCI November reject, that is one of the stocks that we will be eyeing out for. How much of inflows is expected, that also we will be watching out for. But all right, moving on, joining us, our fundamental guest for the show, we have market expert Gaurang Shah of Geojit Financial Services. Gaurang, good morning. So good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. Morning to all of you. Thank you.
Gaurang, sweeping victory for Trump in the US elections. So what does it mean for the Indian markets? Yesterday we saw recovery, but today looks like the recovery has been short-lived.
Well, I think the exuberance was all over, not only in our markets, but all global markets, including the US markets. Even last night, if you actually go to see, the American markets had given a thumbs up and welcomed the 47th President of the United States of America. One more time, Mr. Donald Trump, the markets did give its thumbs up to it. We also had our own party. And after the celebrations settle down, we have to face the reality, and that's what exactly is happening. We had good 2 days of rally and recovery in the markets, and it was only prudent to have a little bit of pause, profit booking, whatever you may call it. Our sense is that markets will try to make a base building exercise between 24,000, I beg your pardon, to 24,200. If nothing really adverse comes through from the Middle East situation, which we are ignoring right now because of the positive news flow from the US presidential election. And post that, I think we may slow and steadily try to make our move upwards. It's only prudent to see that the volatility, that is India VIX, settle down, because as we speak, there has been a marginal spike up in the India VIX. I think that needs to settle down, and market should do a little bit of base building exercise before any further up move beyond 24,500 and 24,800.
Okay, all right, 24,500. Now, Gaurang, Trump's anti-China rhetoric, so far, from October, we are seeing FIIs turning completely on a sell mode for Indian equity markets. Can we expect the anti-China rhetoric to bring some FII flows back to India, or the valuations are still a key concern for the Indian markets?
Well, honestly, a lot of us have got a habit of looking at a particular event from only one side. I think we have to look at from both sides. This is a situation where most of the people feel that the glass is half empty. For me, the glass is half full. The reason why I say this, that FI sold yesterday somewhere close to about 4,450 crores. Correct me if I'm wrong. And the buy side figure for the domestic institutions were in excess of 4,900 crores. We are only speaking about the sell side figure from the FIs. We are not talking about the buy side figure of the domestic institutions. And the fact of the matter is that the entire month of October, 1 lakh crore excess selling was all absorbed by the domestic institutions. And that is one of the reasons why we have just corrected close to about 10 odd percent from the highs of 26,277 on the Nifty spot, which was the lifetime high, to possibly somewhere close to about 23,816. That was, I believe, Monday or Friday last week. So in this kind of scenario, we have just corrected 8 to 10%, which is marginal according to me. And I always see that, forget about what FIs are doing. I think domestic institutions have the liquidity power to face any kind of excessive sell side number. As far as your question on the China rhetoric is concerned, I think now with President Trump eventually getting sworn in as the 47th president of the United States of America, and his policies that we have seen when he was the president last time, I think a shift should happen. And honestly speaking, I think slow and steady, we are having quite a bit of support from retail investors, either through direct investment into equity markets or via SIPs and lump sum investment through mutual funds. So I think that's a positive thing that we should look at.
Okay, all right. But Gaurang, you mentioned that we shouldn't be looking at the FI selling because DIIs have been, buying into the markets very aggressively as well. But for the bull run to continue, for the markets to see record highs, isn't it essential for the FIs to come back to the Indian markets? And when do you expect that to happen? Because we're seeing a dismal Q2 performance from India Inc. as well.
Well, I think, we always start talking about FI's financial year end, which is going to be the calendar year end. So we are already in November. I think possibly by second half of November or possibly first 2 weeks of December, that the sell side figure could get elevated because of the year end sell off and the reporting that they have to do. And then they'll go out for their Christmas vacation and come back in the early part of Jan 2025. So, and of course, then we will be speaking about budget, which will be on 1st of Feb 2025. So I think most likely in and around mid of Feb or thereabouts, I think you should see buy side activity being picked up by the FIs. We'll have a lot of clarity in terms of budgets, what the Honorable Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji has to tell us, and of course, what are the policy changes the government has to put in place. So I don't think we should be any kind of hurry to see the FIs flows come into India. I think it would be, in case if it has to be, second half of Feb 2025. But before that, you might see some small trickle coming in. But I think thick flows one should expect post second half of Jan 2025. Beg your pardon, Feb 2025.
Okay, all right. But Gaurang, so far the Q2 earnings, that has been dismal. So we are seeing multiple EPS downgrades as well. What is the next catalyst for the markets that we need to eye out for?
So we have 4 quarters, first, second, third, fourth of financial year. first quarter was good. Second quarter, whatever we've seen up till now, I think there is still a week or two left for the earnings to see a curtains down, and then we'll possibly recollect and possibly analyze how the Q2 season has been. But whatever we've seen up till now, I definitely agree with you. There has been disappointment, but the disappointment is not that large enough that one can take a sell side position and sit and not look at investments into equity market. I think these kind of opportunities come very rarely, these kind of corrections. And of course, the numbers front, our sense at Geojit is that we may see some kind of recovery from third and fourth quarter. Mind you, second quarter was the earnings post monsoon season. I think the demand and pickup from semi-urban and rural India will start trickling in from third and fourth quarter, and that's where you will see some kind of support coming. But I don't think that the second quarter, whatever we've seen up till now, was that big a disappointment. Were there misses? Yes, there were. Were those misses large enough to have a grave concern? I don't think so.
Okay. But any sectors that you felt that, did not disappoint as much as the street was anticipating?
Actually, your audio is breaking up. I can't hear your question very clearly, but I believe you are asking me about which are the sectors which disappointed in Q2. If that was a question,
Yeah,
I
but
think,
yeah.
yeah. So I think autos disappointed a little bit. Some private sector banks like the Kotaks and the IndusInd of the world disappointed. Some amount of disappointment in the FMCG pack because of the subdued demand, not only from metros, tier 2, tier 3 cities, but also from semi-urban rural India, which I just alluded to. We will see a pickup because agri income will start coming in from post second quarter onwards. Optimistic, if you ask me which sectors I'll be optimistic on, then I think public sector banks have done well compared to two names that I've mentioned. Cement is something that we are extremely positive. Power generation, transmission, distribution, and cap goods engineering. I think these are some of the sectors which should be on the radar.
Okay, all right. Gaurang, also, we've seen about 8% correction from the record high levels for the Nifty. So, like, how much more of a correction is needed to make the valuations palpable for the Indian markets?
Well, for a fundamental guy like me, these corrections are big opportunities, to be very honest with you.
Okay.
And we've been advocating our clients to start allocating at least 25-30% of the 8 odd percent correction that we've seen. The fact that I alluded to year-end sell-off from the FIs, which I don't think it's going to be big enough because large part is already done dusted. Maybe some small sell-off could come in, which may lead to another 2-3% correction. But if I have to put a level on the Nifty spot in terms of downside support, then what we've seen somewhere close to about 23,800, between 23,800 and 24,000. My sense is that the downside is extremely protected under the given situation and circumstances. If in case Middle East has to throw up some kind of negativity, then there may be a little bit of more downward correction, but that won't be big enough. So as of now, 23,800 to 24,000 should be the floor wherein we should see some kind of aggressive buying coming in.
Okay, aggressive buying coming in. Let's talk about a little bit about sectors. Gaurang, IT sector, that was a big mover yesterday. The management commentary also with the post to Q2 earnings have reflected that the worst might be over. So what do you make of it? Can we expect certain optimism to kick in for the IT sector?
So we as a brokerage house were positive for the last 2 years, even before that. But the last 2 years is more important because that was the time when a lot of negativities was there for the IT sector, and people on the street were saying that stay away from IT. We maintained our confidence and positive stance then. We are maintaining our positive stance now and possibly going into the future. The reason being, AI and Gen AI is going to be a big game changer. Along with that, we are living in a world wherein there is going to be elevated cyber attacks, web attacks, all kind of negativity, which enables criminal activity. And each and every corporate, however small, medium, large, or an MNC is, you need to have your IT environment and platforms operating in a very safe and a protected environment so that users like me and you and everyone don't feel any kind of fear going into that kind of IT environment and platform. And for that, you are definitely going to need the back-end services of IT companies. So we remain positive on the likes of TCS, Infosys, HCL Tech, Tech Mahindra, mid-cap names like Coforge, Persistent System, LTI Mindtree, L&T Technologies, smaller names like KPIT Tech and Tata LXI. And the reason for the pop-up yesterday for the IT and pharma, of course, was because of the outcome of the United States presidential elections. But my sense is that even if I have to minus that and concentrate on the second quarter commentary of the IT companies management post the second quarter earnings, well, they are quite optimistic about the growth outlook going into the future.
Yes, that's right. Gaurang, banking sector, we've seen that the deposit ratio, the credit to deposit ratio was a major concern in the previous quarter, but this quarter it has been lower, and that is one of the cheer for the banking sector. But higher slippages, that has come up as a key concern. So how does it look like? Is it manageable, or is the storm just going to escalate? What does it look like?
So, instead of looking at it from an overall perspective, I think one needs to be specific when it comes to a particular public sector bank or a private sector bank. Concerns were there, like I mentioned, for the likes of IndusInd and the Kotaks of the world. Public sector banks like Canara Bank, PNB, Bank of Baroda, Bank of India delivered a decent set of numbers on all fronts. For larger banks like the HDFCs and the Axis and the ICIC of the world, I think the scope of improvement is still there. And overall, if you ask me, I think once the environment turns conducive and positivity starts trickling in, even the loans which have got stuck in form of bad loans will start coming back into the bank's balance sheet, and that will also lead to provisionings getting written back, which will create a very healthy atmosphere in terms of public as well as private sector banks. That's point number one. Point number two, I think if we are aspiring to become the next trillion-dollar economy, and if we have the aspirations of being a global hub for outsourcing as far as manufacturing and services are concerned, then all this will require a credit line, loans. So our sense is that credit demand will pick up slow and steady, and that will start contributing to the loan book as well. So overall, if you are focusing on India growth story, then I think banking and finance is one sector which is going to be a must in your portfolio.
Okay, banking and finance must in the portfolio. Gaurang, just one last question before we let you go. The primary markets, that has been quite busy. We have Swiggy and Niva Bupa Health. So what do you suggest investors to do at this point of time, given that the market is given tempered returns? So at this point, do you expect the listing gains to be one of the focus, or should they focus on just one selective IPO?
Well, so, what I would advise investors is don't get into the bad habit of expecting stellar listing gains for all papers get listed. One has to keep in mind that companies differ from one another. Companies' operations differ from one another. Valuation is something that you should definitely focus at before you take a decision of investing in a particular IPO, and look at good IPOs with a longer term perspective. Some of them have given you a pop up on the high side and 50, 60, 70% return on listing. Case in point, very recently Vari Energies. I mean, look at the IPO level, the price, and look at where the stock is trading at yesterday. I believe even today it's given you, I think, more than 50, 60% return. So you need to, bifurcate all these papers, keeping in mind the valuation, management, and the outlook of the business. You can't be putting a thumb rule of one single set and looking at all the companies. So your question, well, on Swiggy, we have come out with an IPO note, and we have given a subscribe recommendation from a longer term perspective. But let me say this, we had another pop-up and then a sell-off in Ola Electric. Ola Electric had a loss of 1,500 crores. Swiggy also has a loss on the balance sheet, so people should bear that in mind. We should not be
expecting stellar set of return on the listing. Of course, I'm not qualified to say anything on listing gains, but from a longer term time horizon, I think quick commerce is going to be a game changer, provided you have a longer term outlook on your investments.
But Gaurang, if I ask you about Swiggy versus Zomato, what do you weigh in on that?
So again, your audio is cracking up, but I think you're asking me between Swiggy and Zomato.
Yes, yes.
Well, yeah, I will not give a biased view. We had coverage on Zomato when the IPO was there, and we are still maintaining a positive coverage on Zomato currently as I speak to you. And like I mentioned on Swiggy, we have an IPO note from a longer term perspective. I will give equal weightage to both.
All right, Gaurang. So with that, we have to let you go. But thank you so much for your time. We hope that we connect with you soon as well.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, just let's take a quick check of the markets. Well, Sensex is down about 375 points, while Nifty is down about 100 points in today's trading session. Nifty below that 24,400 levels. If you look at some of the sectoral indices, once again, Nifty Metal is not doing well. Nifty IT index, that has also slipped in the red, 0.3% downtick. India Wix, that has cooled off from the spike that we saw initially. It is up about 0.6% in today's trading session. But yes, broader markets, they continue to do well. They continue to outperform benchmarks. Both the mid-cap and small-cap indices rising up to 0.3%. But with that, we have come to an end of this edition of the Opening Bell. Don't forget to tune in at 3:30 p.m. for Closing Bell. We will be discussing about how the market is developed and what the stocks are in the focus. Until then, signing off, stay tuned to moneycontrol.com for all the news updates and market insights.